Okay, hello everyone again. Welcome. So it's the 18th of April, and now we are focusing purely on astrology. I gave you the big breakdown of the frame of where we are living in. Now we are focusing on the astrological alignments, which are pretty outstanding, as you will see. So this is the first one, and as I said, the center of that whole arrangement of energy shifts, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction of the 21st of April. Avoid, of course, moon in the last minutes of Virgo. Very, very interesting. And coming out here of the connection recharging itself with the shadow energy, the collective shadow, and the shadow energy in a perfect opposition to Mars. So this is really digging deep, and many people will feel, actually we all will feel the painful part of that. It is cutting through the shadow in a very decisive way, in whatever that means for each one of us. The sun is in the 2nd degree of Taurus and in conjunction here with a new planet, which I just found out when I looked into Rayal, which is one of these wonderful programs which allows you to calculate all these extra bodies. And here you see the sun at 129, and there's UQ513 at 120. UQ513, I looked it up, is about a 600 to 700 kilometer big Kuiper belt object. I did a little research. There's a couple astrologers who have written on it. UQ513 is also known as object 202241. I moved this here over so you can read it. Sorry, it's behind something else here. Now it's here. Now you can read it. If you want to stop it and read it, I just want to highlight what this astrologer says and said. And here, this is the link to it. I put this under the video too. The object 202241 UQ513 would assume the more positive characteristics of Aries due to its conjunction to the North Node at the discovery, not just for self-interest. Conjunction, okay, so the Sun is conjunct the North Node when it was discovered, but with power and authority comes responsibility to act in ways that are good for everyone, not just for self-interest, which is why, and there's a tight opposition to Haumea in the discovery chart in 2005 that was discovered, which is all about fairness and justice. Leadership is, these qualities are important in leadership, he says here. And the other astrologer which did do some write-up is Amable, and this is the comment which I copied out of it, Transneptunian-astrology. So the main theme with UQ513 is the personal formulation of spiritual values and ideals, like in movies, The Greatest Game Ever Played, Blue Crash, The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. You get the picture. Also interesting here, it is the goal of perfection cannot be reached during a single life. If the goal of perfection could not be reached during a single life, people would give up or never try. So it is giving you that long-term understanding of bigger cycles, bigger concepts of evolution and how you fit in this moment, and giving you then also the perspective to do the right thing. It's a beautiful energy, obviously, and we are in that grand square with Haumea here on the other end, Pluto, and here in the beginning of Leo, Solaris is here, but also this is the degree where the original eclipse of that lunar eclipse family occurred in the 0 degree Leo, which I said would really bring up the fire of our emotions and make us burn and combust into that passion of going in the right direction. This is a kind of a leading light in during that whole phase, as all the base charts are of the eclipses. They're kind of the foundations of what that evolutionary episode is about. 0 degree Leo, it was for the lunar eclipse, and the 5th degree of Gemini, it was for the solar eclipse, which is naturally all about Mercury in the bigger picture. Mercury certainly plays a central role about bringing things to consciousness and into focus, and setting very clear goals and directives. In Aries, in the 16th degree, they will finally, that's where Mercury will station on the 25th. Again, that degree, which is dedicated to nature spirits and to connecting to a unseen reality and being nourished from their nature. Naturally is the key word here, and to tune every day for 20 minutes, as Jacqueline Hobbs says. I totally am subscribing to that idea. If we do just sit for 20 minutes, do not do anything, just focus on bringing in the frequency of love into your body, feel your body, feel how you're anchoring that divine presence and bringing it in. Okay, now you have looked at this chart. Now let me show you something. This is April 21st. That's where we're heading towards. That's kind of the countdown we're on right now. This is when Mercury had its starting its new synodic cycle, meaning it was exactly at the center of the retrograde period, as seen from Earth, directly in front of the Sun, so to say, in the 23rd degree of Aries, actually that was, and that's another degree which I found very meaningful in the bigger picture here, which is a pregnant woman in light summer dress, and the keyword is fecundity. Inner fulfillment is literally, I mean, as a man I definitely can empathize, and a woman will know from within. This is the greatest of all fulfillments for a woman or a human being as such, to be able to carry life, to bring to this reality a new being. What a wonderful, wonderful gift if you can do that. That is the energy of this degree, where Mercury and the Sun meet. This sets the anchor point for 4 months period, and in astronomy, in astrology too, this is the beginning of the Mercury cycle, when it is exactly in front of the Sun at the center of the retrograde. And you see that is where the Moon was, linking into that energy of the solar eclipse, of that base chart, as I just mentioned. So anyway, this is the ascendant here when Mercury was turning, was exactly aligned with the Sun, and you see that is what is at midheaven here, pretty much. So we were tuned already starting on April the 11th, tuned into whatever that quantum leap was, which was about to hit home. And then just 2-3 days ago, when the Moon was exactly 90 degrees ahead of the Sun, that midpoint between the Sun here, 26 18 in Aries, exactly in the center point between new moon and full moon. A very critical moment, the highest of dynamic power, that waxing square. Also, this is the moment when the Moon changes from being an inner planet to becoming an outer planet. One of the very special features only the Moon can perform, naturally, because it's Earth's satellite, so it can be either be between Sun and Earth, or outside of the sphere on the other side of the Earth, if you look at the Sun as being the center point. So it's becoming an outer planet. So that's a very important energy shift for the Moon. Naturally, inner and outer is more subjective versus more objective. In that sense, inner planets are kind of blinded by the light of the Sun, you could say, by the light of our being, our beingness. In that sense, that's kind of the if you want, the shadow side of the Sun, if you want, is that it cannot see what's around it because it is so bright. So for that you really need the night darkness to see what is around. That then opens up the whole panorama, and you see the depth of space and the millions of stars and galaxies. Something to think about, inner planet versus outer planets, light versus darkness, being blinded versus having that depth perception of infinity, which darkness opens us up to. So anyway, that midpoint, yes, I'm kind of often getting lost a little bit. Sorry about that. So what I want to point out, this was the degree here at the zenith over the zero meridian, kind of setting the theme for this weekend, naturally, or not naturally, but interestingly, this degree then will be exactly again in the axis. So we have these two axes, these main axes are already activated to make the best out of this alignment, to really anchor it well in a multiple way, with naturally 11 Aquarius rising, which is during silent hour a man receives a new inspiration which may change his life. Beautiful. And again, the silent hour. So again, this is a hint that just taking that time to be quiet, to totally tune into your physical body, not to focus on anything, but just not to be active. Allow the thoughts to pass, but again and again remember to connect with your physical body. It is your experience conduit. It is the link which allows us to interact in this three-dimensional world, to leave a footprint, to leave an imprint, to make, or at least to be part of making change happen. The 9th degree of Sagittarius, which is here overhead, is a mother leads her small child step by step up a steep stairway. Social concern. It is helping each other through critical shifts, and climbing stairs naturally is a very challenging thing for a child. It's not natural really to climb the stairs. So we are helping each other to really do the right things. And with Palace up here, yes, it is a spiritual endeavor. Palace using its sharp intelligence. Now that void of course moon is really, really special, and I want to read you this degree. It is also eye-opening and shows you where we're going, as the moon is so centrally important. Totally intent upon completing an immediate task. A man is deaf to any allurement. Total focus, total concentration is required for reaching any spiritual goal, it says here. Now, I want to read you this comment here. This is the culminating step. It's the last degree of the first half of the zodiac, which is all about personalization, about becoming a true individual. And this is the coronation in a way before we enter the second half of the zodiac, which is all about collectivization, of then bringing this perfected individual frequency into alignments with the collective, to then become a true servant. Up to that point, up to the 30th degree of Virgo, you're building your personal field, the physical and the emotional foremost, and then you're getting into the third quadrant, into the mental and the spiritual, which is when we are truly interact and melt with the world around us, versus the physical and the emotional are way more introspective and personal, building the foundation. This is the culminating step, the decision that results from a myriad of small choices. Still, the shadow of hesitation can remain. Attention may be distracted from the now by a voice from the past, glamorizing some old memory. The outer doors of perception and thought must be closed so the soul can complete its conquest of illusion. The conquest of illusion, I really like that, because that's exactly where we're at. Now the moon is in this big trine with Setna and Pluto. Pluto here really close to its culmination on May the 2nd. Pretty much stationary already here in the 3rd degree of Aquarius. Pluto is definitely the one which is harnessing this energy from Moon and Setna, this beautifully harmonic flow of Earth energy, bringing it into the Aquarian realm. And again, Pluto is the dispositor, as you know, of Uranus. Sorry, I say it wrongly. Uranus is the dispositor of Pluto. Yes, Uranus in Taurus. So it really puts some fire under Pluto's bum, you could say. The fuse is lit. And it's coming from a harmonious place. This is super, super important to note this. As dramatic and intense is what is ahead of us. And naturally the void, of course, moon is a wild card, always. The moon is running into the void, means it has passed the last aspect, the last Ptolemaic aspect, which is conjunction, sextile, square, trine, and opposition only. And it sure works that way. So the moon has had its last aspect with another of the main planet, was the trine to Jupiter, and since then it's moving into the void. Now, okay, before we go there, just let's just keep going, otherwise it gets way too long. So this is the heliocentric picture of that moment when Jupiter and Uranus have their conjunction. What I want to show you here is pretty much Mercury, which moves very fast at 21 degrees Scorpio, opposing Uranus and Jupiter, just getting into this opposition. And the Mercury moves about 5 to 7 degrees a day in the heliocentric picture. See, it takes 88 days once around the full zodiac. So, and then here is also Pallas. I really like this opposition now, particularly as Mars is chiming into here too with a T-square. Heliocentric, that's the energy we are consuming. In a simple way said, that is the fuel, that's what keeps us going. And then the geocentric, that's the manifestation, that's how this energy expresses itself, what form it takes on. But that's really the fire, that's the inner fire which fuels us. Most interesting is that there is a square between Mars and Uranus first, and then Mars and Jupiter. Now the Mars-Uranus square actually is already exact, was exact on the 16th of April. That's 2 days ago already. Okay. And the Jupiter square will be within hours of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction as seen from Earth. So this is really elevating the intensity of, and this also speaks for a big solar flare. Heliocentric Mars, Uranus, Mars, Jupiter square, yes, that's what I am expecting, as I said before, probably very close to the exact time of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So with Mercury and Pallas here, this is the investigative mind which is powered up. Curiosity, wanting to dig deep to the core of the matter and finding patterns, understanding why things are the way they are. Yes, many people are just about starting to pose serious questions. Many people go through serious big life changes already. I mean, we had that exact conjunction of Chiron with the solar eclipse on the 8th of April. That really set the tone. Chiron is the one which is a good doctor. And what does a good doctor do? First, he cleans the wound, he straightens the bones if they were broken, which are both painful for the patient. It's not really fun. That's actually the real hard part of getting things fixed. First, we have to clean the wound. First, we have to open it, take all the pus out, and remove all what is wrong, cut out whatever, even if it's something like a tumor. And then nature is taking over, doing the rest. Then you just have to sit and wait and literally just allow nature to do its job. But that very first intervention, that is the chironic thing, and that is experienced everybody in their own ways these days. And yes, okay, now this is really the cherry on that cake, the comet. And you should go back to the recording I made about the comet. It really is matching the frequency of that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction we are having, because in its birth chart, when it was discovered in 1812, it has a perfect trine of Jupiter, Uranus, and I guess the ascendant it was, yeah. So there is this Jupiter-Uranus theme already. So Comet 12P Pons Brooks, who has that potential to flare up hundreds of times in magnitude. Yes, it is still kind of a small comet, you could say. It's not really that easy to spot, and you need a little telescope, but still, comets, even though they might not all be that spectacular at first sight, they are very, very important additions. They bring in something unexpected, nobody was thinking about, and it is that timing. You see the moon at 001 Libra. I mean, this is uncanny. Just at the very first moment of that collectivization process, whereas the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is in that final degree of individualization, of bringing it to a full circle. This is beginning something totally new, heading us into a new waters. And interestingly enough, then, as you see, this is then the Chiron return for the, no, this is okay, let me see. Okay, that's why I show you this first. Okay, so you see the axis here of that, and the comet is at its perihelion, closest to the sun. And again, this is that moment captured in geocentric geometry, as this is where we are experiencing this. Even what happens on the sun, literally we are experiencing it here. It's that parallel transference which totally works. So anyway, this is what the July 4, 1776 chart looks like if we transfer it to Greenwich. Why would I do that? Because that's really what it is. I mean, yes, the New World was founded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but in the meantime, it is it's become the, I mean, everybody on the whole planet is looking at the United States these days, at least on some level or other. It is the leading edge of change, of shifts. Yes, they happen everywhere, but the big breakthroughs will first happen, that's my strong belief, in the United States, where people are taking back their power, their sovereignty, and standing their ground against the ever more flawed system. This is where we're going, and it is that support this nation needs, at least in a moral way, standing there, holding the ground energetically for something big to change wherever it may start. But the likelihood that the United States is very, very high, and this chart proves it. The 0 degree Pisces ascendant is beautiful as such. It really shows that ability to transcend this earthly dimension and turn that whole journey into a spiritual adventure. That's what the 1st degree of Pisces is all about. Hexagram 55, fullness, abundance, but also it is that coming together of universal brotherhood. Beautiful, beautiful degree. So it is that same degree, you see, and we will see that degree now several times in the next few charts. That's why I really wanted to show you this chart first here. And then, yes, let's go back here. This was when the comet at perihelion, which again is, you see, at 3:10 in the morning in Greenwich. And if we go back to the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction at 2:27 a.m. So you see, it's really within 40 minutes. This is really unexpected synchronicity. And then a few minutes later, yes, not too much, I guess. It's okay, this is confusing a bit. Now it shows British summertime. This would be 3:47 a.m. in universal time. So you see, it is really just 20 minutes later when Chiron is coming back to the exact degree it has in the Independence Declaration Foundation charts position, which is here at 2008 in Aries, which is actually here. This would be exactly where it is, just too much happening here. To 2008 Aries, you see, if we go back to the base chart, July 4, 1776, 2008 Aries. So within 20 minutes, within overall couple hours, not even, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, the comet reaching perihelion, which means it's starting a whole new 70-year plus cycle to then come back again. That's the period of this comet, laying the foundations for some real new ways of experiencing reality. I would almost say that comet, you can look at history. In 1812 was an important year, 1883, 1954 was the last time, and now it's 2024. So okay. Then one day later Juno turns direct. Yes, and that is then when the moon will be in the 12th degree of Libra. And I found this interesting. The global ascendant here is at the 27th degree of Aquarius. If we go back to the original chart of the foundation, the new world in that sense, that's where the moon is, with Pallas. So it is literally showing that yet it will start in the United States. It will be supported by a global movement of like-minded people who are holding the ground, who are stepping up and demanding the same sovereignty and freedom for themselves. And I mean, it's very simple. Just say no. Just don't support something which you cannot stick behind. Stop giving your support, period, in whatever way, and naturally the financial part is very important. Stop giving them your money. If everybody does it, they have no power. That's exactly what it is. Like in Ireland, I guess they have now this new whatever hate speech law which came into effect, and I guess within a week there were 8,000 cases open. So no way they can even start looking at that. It's total overwhelm of the system. That's how we do it. We just say no. We don't comply. We do our own thing because we obey nature. We do not obey some stupid faction of hillbillies or whoever you call them. Anyway, that's where we're going, and there's all the time this Sagittarian energy and this Aquarian energy. I mean, you know what I'm hinting at here. This is freedom and independence as such. These are the two signs standing for that. And this is the chart for Philadelphia. I just thought I'd quickly throw this one in too. Particularly so as if we go to the Juno station once more for Philadelphia, for the birthplace, so to say, of that new paradigm of living together on this planet, has (002) Libra here, and with heaven. Just let's go back to this chart here, when the comet is exactly closest to the sun, rebooting a new cycle in that comet. Yes, that is definitely a harbinger of some fabulous energy, opening a whole new panorama of potentials. That's what comets do. They bring in frequencies which usually are not accessible, also due to their very steep entry into the solar system. They're coming from an area which usually is not really within the path of planets, and that's how it goes. The planets are receivers of the energy which comes through them from behind, and then channel and transform it down to a frequency band we can handle, we can incorporate. the same thing with comets. They bring in that additional frequency from a totally different, unusual direction. Okay, so these are the two, and just finalizing here quickly, this is just a few more charts of what's coming. This is insofar super interesting. This is then the black moon enters hexagram 6, which is when conflict is really coming to the surface. Conflict in that sense is necessary for progress. It is the friction which brings change, which grinds down whatever corners there are still which need to go off. So April 21st starting, this will be probably about a 5-6 week period of intense confrontation where we really need to stand our ground. But there's again all the cosmic support. You see the Jupiter and Uranus here at the 7th house cusp. Yes, I could say lots about this chart. Also keep in mind that 13th degree of Virgo and Pisces. Again, just jumping ahead to this chart here. Yeah, there's various charts here. Which one is it I wanted to show you? Yeah, it's this one. That's coming up on May 17, then this 13th degree of Pisces will be fully activated when the inner general comes out and says this is the way we do it and no other. It is kind of that inner authority which is born under this Mars-Saturn opposition, which is simultaneous to a Sun-Jupiter conjunction, which will be on May 18th exact. So this will be a real turning point in the energy again a one day in the Mayan calendar, as you can hear in my earlier recording. So let me see. Yes, and then when Mercury turns direct, yes, you again have the first degrees of Virgo and Pisces here activated, the moon perfectly opposing Uranus and Jupiter. By that time it's all really doubling up the energies, really making it very clear. You can't overlook it. It is that intensity of Scorpio and that fecundity, I would call it, of Taurus, which makes things real. It is a phase of manifestation, and that first degree of Pisces, as we looked before at, now at the 7th house cusp, that universal brotherhood, that is really where it's going, and that will defeat all those fake authorities who have become so exposed. It's actually a miracle that they still are where they are. But yes, as I said earlier, many people are still in shock. We have to consider that many people are not yet even able to fully recognize what is going on. We have to help one another to come to terms with reality. Very important. Remind one another of how important it is to be authentic, and true and answer to the highest source possible, which is nature. And here, this is then when Pluto and Charon will have their station. This is yet another theme. Just very quickly, Pluto and Charon. Pluto is the planet, Charon is its moon, about one half its size. So their mutual gravitational center is in empty space between them. They are kind of rotating around them, each other, and naturally if we are watching it exactly from Earth's perspective, then because they are individual bodies, it's a planetary system really, Pluto and Charon or Charon. If we watch it, when they turn retrograde, it is always within a few hours, because they're in slightly different positions. And if we take the midpoint of these two turning points, which I expanded on in an earlier video when Pluto turned direct in October, that was October 10th, 2023. You can go back to that recording there. I show you why I use this methodology. Anyway, it brings the moon to 0 Pisces, so again it is that same theme of coming together as a universal brotherhood, supporting one another in a spiritual context of understanding that everything is one, that we are all part of the same creation, so part of one another really. So I hope that gave you some deeper insights and you enjoyed listening. Thank you for being here, and let me just click the stop button here. So I wish you all the best. Bye bye.